Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to create a vintage looking mixed media card, and we're going to be using the Tim Holtz Sizzix Thinlits Layering Stripes die set. So don't put away your Christmas dies yet. We're going to repurpose these and create this really pretty floral vintage card. So here's the die set I was referring to, and this is the Layered Stripes die set, and you get 3 dies in this set. One creates the background and then 2 sets of stripes. We're going to use this wider set of stripes. This is the second striped layer. We're not going to use that today. We're just going to set that aside. So let's go ahead and grab some pretty papers for this. I've got these beautiful papers, and these are double-sided papers. Let me give you a look at that paper pack. This is the Tim Holtz Idea-ology Backdrops collection, and this is volume number 5. And you can see, look at all these beautiful papers you get. These are absolutely gorgeous. So I grabbed these 3. I thought these would coordinate nicely together. And for the background, we're going to be using that kind of that yellowish green looking one. And I'm just looking at the back just to see where I'm placing that die. If you want to save something on the back, you might want to move that die around. But for this one, I want to make sure that I get enough of those flowers. So I'm lining it up almost in the center to grab some flowers for down the center and all 4 of those corners. I've taped that down with a little bit of Post-it tape. Then it's much easier to run a die like this through your die cutting machine if you place it on a little bit of an angle, and then it makes it a lot easier to run that through. So let's poke out all those little extra stripes, which can be used on another project. You could use the negative pieces for another project. And I'm going to layer this on top. But first, let's grab the Gathered Twigs Distress Oxide ink from Tim Holtz, and we're going to take a small blending brush and go around all 4 sides of this back panel. I'm just trying to darken up those edges a little bit. And then we are going to add a little bit of ink in the center of this panel as well. But first I'm going to do this one. Now for this piece, I wanted to get some of that vintage look in between these stripes. So that's why I grabbed this small blending brush. It's going to allow me to get right in between there, just kind of brush up along those edges. And I just want to darken up those edges on each side of those stripes. And again, keep in mind now we're using a Christmas die set, so don't put everything away. You guys know if you watch my videos that I really like to use up a lot of my Christmas supplies. This happened to be one of the dies that I just didn't get to over Christmas. So I was looking at it and thinking, I really have to do something with that. And I don't think it necessarily needs to look like stripes. In this case, we're going to give it a really vintage look. Now here's where you can see I'm coming back in and I'm just filling in a little bit on this panel just to darken up some of that paper, kind of going on the same angle of the stripes. And then you can just check that. If you don't like that, you can always go back and add a little bit more. Now I've got my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I've placed it all around the back of this panel. I'm going to center this. And it will leave a little tiny edge all the way around, maybe about 1/16 of an inch all the way around. So I'm pressing that down really well. And then I'm going back to that same ink and I'm going to place some on my glass media mat. I'll spritz that with a little bit of water from my distress sprayer. And I've got a small paintbrush here. I'll go ahead and spatter this entire panel. And do keep in mind that all of the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. So there you can see that spattering. Let's set that aside to dry. We'll come back to that a bit later. I'm going to take the Tim Holtz Sizzix Thinlits dies. These are the Scribbly butterflies, and look at how beautiful these are. We're going to grab this one here, and we'll use that pink paper that I showed you earlier. And we're also going to use the same one that we used for our background. Let's go ahead and run this through. The one that we use for the background will just be for the center of the butterfly. So I just need a little piece of that to die cut the center. So let's go ahead and pop this out and look at how beautiful this is. I just love this butterfly. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just using my Tim Holtz pick tool to kind of poke out any of those little extra pieces. And then we can just die cut the center portion. And I'm running these through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. I also want to mention that 2 of the dies in the Scribbly Butterfly die set have been reimagined, and they're in the new Vault series for Tim Holtz. So they've been resized and they are part of a brand new set of dies. I will list and link that down below for you as well, just so you can take a look at that. And if you're a collector of these butterflies, and I know a lot of people are, they're absolutely gorgeous, you may want to check that out because it will give you a couple more sizes of these butterflies. So again, I'll list and link that for you. And now I've added that center to that butterfly. I did decide to add another layer. So I die cut it one more time from some 100-pound cardstock just to give it a little more substance. And I'm going to glue these together. So I use that same Nouveau Deluxe adhesive and glued these two together. And then I'm going to go back to that gathered Twigs Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to go all around the edges of this butterfly. Again, I just want to give it kind of an aged look, just to kind of go with the vintage theme that we're going for. And then I'll also spatter this as well, just like we did with the card panel. So same technique, applying that ink directly to my glass media mat and spattering it on. Now here's where I decided to add that Distress Mica stain. This is called Crooked Broomstick. And again, this is from the Halloween collection. So we've kind of combined Halloween and Christmas here. I don't like to put these things away. These are just basic tools, especially the stains. They're basic tools to me that can be used on any project. I like to just dip that nozzle right into the container and spatter it on. And you do want to make sure with the mica stains that you shake them up really well before you use them. So I spattered the butterfly and that panel. And once that dries, I'll show you a closer look at that pretty shimmer that you get from that. Now I've got my glue pen. This is the Nouveau glue pen. You can see that as I'm applying some of this really thin glue over top, it is picking up some of that color, but I'm not worrying about it. I'm just kind of dabbing on the glue and then scribbling any ink that I get onto that glue pen onto my scrap paper. Now I've got the Rock Candy Glitter from Tim Holtz, and this is a beautiful, beautiful iridescent glitter. And you can see that I've sprinkled it all over the top of that butterfly. Now with a panel, a little strip of paper that I had left over from that paper that we used to do the butterfly, I'm going to apply that same ink on both sides of this. And this little panel measures about 3/4 of an inch. And I've got some 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive tape from the scrapbook.com collection. And this little strip of paper will be down here at the bottom. I'm just trying to get my placement right for the butterfly, just to make sure I have enough room. I'll place some of that double-sided adhesive on the back. And again, I cut this strip a little bit longer so that I could wrap it around to the back side. I'm just going to press that right into place, just push that fold. And then for the center of it, I didn't want it to pop up because we're going to have that heavy butterfly there. So I did decide to add a little piece of it in underneath, and I'm just removing the backing there. You could certainly have done this before you place this down. So now that we have that adhered, let's create the card base. This is some Kraft cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I'm scoring it at 5 1/2 inches. So we'll have a standard A2 size top folding card. Let's go around the edges of this card as well. Going to go all the way around with that same brush. And then for some trim, I'm using the velvet trims from Tim Holtz. This is the warm collection. And you can see it's well loved, well used. I have all kinds of little scraps in here. But we're going to grab that kind of mustardy gold yellowy looking one. So I'm going to grab a piece that's long enough so I can also wrap this around to the back. I'll grab that same 1/4 inch double-sided tape and I'll just wrap that around. I'm centering it on this little strip of paper. We can go ahead and remove the backing. And this is a nice secure tape. This is very strong, so it'll hold this in place nicely. So I'm going to just line that up, wrap it around to the back, and then we can go ahead and cut away any excess. So let's add some foam tape to the back of this just to pop this up. And I want to avoid the area where the ribbon is. It's already bulky there, so we're going to just apply that tape all around that area. And that'll pop this up nicely. So off camera, I went ahead and filled that in with some little chunks of the double-sided tape. And I'm using my Cricut weeding tool just to remove those backings. I can use that little pokey end just to push it right into the backing and pull it right off. So it makes it really easy to remove the backing. Let's go ahead and center this on the card. And you may have noticed that I put it on the wrong side of the card. I didn't put it on the side where I had already applied that Gathered Twigs ink around the edges. So that's currently on the back of the card, and I will fix that in a minute so you won't know that I did that. Let's go ahead and grab the multi-medium matte glue, and I'm going to glue down this butterfly. Now I did grab my reverse tweezers and clamp that into place to let that dry. Now that will take a little bit of time to dry, so I might suggest to you, rather than this multi-matte medium glue, you might want to use a glue gun or your E6000. I think it will dry a lot faster and you won't have to wait for that to dry. So let's take a look at these antique gems. These are beautiful from the Tim Holtz Idea-ology collection, and they have this little ring on them so that you can dangle them like little charms. I'm going to remove that though because I want to place this on the butterfly. So I'm just using my steel die cutters and I'm just going to place that right in the center there. I'm going back to that multi-medium matte glue and we'll pop this in place. And again, that will take a little time to set and dry. I've got the quote chips. These are the labels quote chips, and if you guys watch my videos, you know I love the quote chips. They're one of my favorite things. And these are so cool because they have ovals and rectangles, large ones and small ones now. Tons of sentiments in here. So this is a basic staple that I go to all the time. I've got that rock candy glitter again and my Nuvo blue pen. I've selected the ovals that are a little bit smaller for this project, and there's so many here that could be used on this project. Not all who wander are lost. The world is a canvas of imagination. Together is my favorite place to be. I'm going to grab, and there's a couple others there, but I'm going to grab the one that says there is beauty in simplicity. But certainly any of these would be really pretty on this project. So let's go ahead and grab that. It did take me a while to decide on that. Sometimes that's the hardest part for me, is deciding the finishing touches and what quote or quote chip that I want to use. So I'm going to take that glue pen, and since it's got that little chiseled end on it, I'm going to go all around the chipboard and just finish that off by dipping this right directly into our rock candy glitter, and we'll glitter all around the edges. Now you could ink that up instead. You just want to take away that look of cardboard. So either way would be great. And then I'm going to grab that same darker paper that we used for the butterfly. I'll glue this to a piece of scrap paper And then we're just going to use our detail scissors to cut all the way around the edges. But I will confess here, I tried to cut it and it didn't exactly come out the way I wanted it to. So I dug through my dies and I found an oval die that I liked, that fit perfectly, and I liked the look of that a little bit better. So I did end up die cutting that oval off camera, and I'm just adding a little bit of that gathered twigs ink around the edges. So now I've got another piece of that 3D foam tape, and we're going to pop this up in the upper left-hand corner. Another cute way to do this would be to put that sentiment right in the center of the butterfly. That would be really pretty. I did play around with that a little bit, but in the end, I wanted to include that little gem. So again, we grabbed a Christmas die and we've made it look completely different. So take a look through your dies. Don't put all your Christmas items away yet. Take a look at them and see what you can come up with. So let me give you a closer look at the card, and I think now you can see that mica stain kind of shimmering in the background and that beautiful glitter on the butterfly. And I just love that butterfly has a really kind of vintagey, antique look to it. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.